Hi everyone, I am Rishabh Uppal. I am a student of law from Symbiosis Law School, and I will be taking you through the delicate procedure and what to do and how to do it when you are participating in an MUN. First of all, I would like to congratulate the organizers of ECLECTIC MUN, and I would like to wish everyone participating all the best. So when we're talking about an MUN, it is really very important that you're really thorough, you're really aware, and you're really up to date as to what is actually happening. You can't be just like that we'll try to get it out there when we're in the MUN proceedings. No. It's you will have a better experience if you're well read, well researched, and you know what you're talking about. And you don't have to rely on anyone else. So the first part for the same is starting your research. How to start your research? Research depends on credibility and trust. You can't just tag any other random document that, hey, this is my research and this is really important. This is how I got to know about the issue. You might come across a lot of documentation on the internet with respect to any certain issue that your committee is debating, but it doesn't mean that that is credible research or that is credible news, in fact. One Republic TV or India Today article won't help you. Believe me, it won't. You need credible sources. And the first source that you should see for your research purposes is the United Nations website. So the UN website enables delegates to access individual committee sites, and a lot of access is also given to the UN's agenda and related information, links, missions of the member states, and access to those. That helps you a lot. Now here, this document that I'm referring to, first of all, it is not a document prepared by me. It is a document prepared by a New York MUN. And I would just like to state it right now because there shouldn't be any copyright infringement or anything. Another point to note here is that the United Nations Handbook. So the United Nations Handbook published by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade of New Zealand is one of the most comprehensive documents for delegate proceedings. You need to be thorough with what happens in the UN. You need to know completely as to what is the UN, how does it work, why does it work, what is the purpose, how they go through it, what, why, when, where. These four questions should be clear in your mind. Another resource material that you can look at is the UN Global Issues website. So basically, a lot of information is available there, which transcends both states and borders. It is information about general issues that are plaguing our society and that people need to look into. They might not, but it is a social issue that has been represented there. In order to prove something, what do? The UN website and all of these formal documents are there, but then certain investigative journalism is also appreciated. So that I would like to refer you to use Reuters or Al Jazeera or Amnesty International. But I would request you to restrain yourself to these three things more or less, because other material might not be really relevant, or if relevant, might not be really credible. And we don't want to get our hands dirty in the beginning, just like that, just without a purpose. Now let's move on to the second part that we should discuss, which is with respect to researching your member state. So when we're talking about UN, we're talking about foreign policy. Foreign policy emanates from one state's local policy, the local customs, how the state behaves, how the organization behaves, how the observer state behaves. So here, for example, if we're talking about a country like India, you need to okay, not India. Everyone might know India. So yes, all right. So if we're talking about a country like Argentina, so you need to look at its political structure, whether it's a presidential government, parliamentary government, what is the form of government, whether it's a democracy, communism, or what is that governs the society there, the economic conditions, whether it's a rich country, it's a middle income country, what is its power, how much power does it have to make decisions for others? Because when we're in a global setting, we're saying that we're making decisions for anyone and everyone, right? So decisions will affect everyone. And that is why it needs to be ascertained through the economic and monetary power as well. If they are inclined towards a certain religion, because issues that you might encounter in your agendas might have a religious undertone to it, and that might help you with the whole proceeding. The history of that country, like I just gave you the example of Argentina. At one point of time, not very late, very recently, in fact, in the 1960s and 70s, Argentina was a dictatorship, and now it's a thriving democracy. So yes, these differences do matter to analyze the country's values and its culture. Yes, its culture matters a lot, because these 4 to 5 factors, as have been provided here as well, will showcase to you what a country stands for, what are its grounds. Like very recently, the UNGA meeting happened, and Turkey, as a country on the Eurasian plateau and transcending boundaries, did raise Kashmir's issue in the UNGA, because we know that Turkey does stand for the identity that it possesses, and its government, which is getting more and more away from Turkey's own principles of sovereignty and going towards Islamization of Turkey itself, is standing for such issues. So we're not critiquing anything, but we're analyzing everything. When you're talking about the observers, so yes, the same criteria matter. If you're talking about an NGO, if you've gotten an NGO as you're representing an NGO, then you also need to look at the work that this NGO has done, the kind of the purpose that this NGO has, and the funding. Funding matters a lot. That is a very important question. Who funds is the one who controls. And that is something that you need to look into really very importantly, because that will showcase the NGO's own personal alignments and its course of action. Now let's go into diplomacy and researching committees topics. So it's really important that you research your committee's topics, because each delegate should understand all the topics of the committee's agenda. The maximum time that you'll be spending is on the committee's agenda discussing these topics. So you need to be really very aware. And the resources that you can use are the ones that I mentioned in the beginning of the video itself. Now we come to diplomacy and your delegate's position on the topics. So we know for a matter that something in international law is that you can assume a lot of things about the position of a country. Like in a case of something to be done about the South China Sea, China and Russia would always side with each other, because they are in effect communist ideology. They follow a communist ideology. They align in their line of thoughts. So you know that on a South China Sea matter, you cannot partner up as China with the USA. No, it won't benefit you. You will not be able to do a good debate, and in fact, you will be losing marks, which you do not want. Diplomacy and decorum. It's a paramount thing to understand that it is not the Indian Parliament. It is not something the way you can just shout your heart out and expect everyone to pay attention to you because you're making mockery of justice. No, it is not how it happens. You need to be really very formal. You need to be really very professional. You have to treat the whole experience as something which is sacrosanct. You can't let random things dictate what your professional behavior will be. Your personal behavior on a certain issue might be very different. If we're debating the issue of Kashmir, and you as a person believe that whatever's happened with respect to Article 35A and 370 is all right, and your country supports India's stance to it, then you can't just get your personal biases get into the way. If you, again, let's take the example of Turkey itself. If you've given Turkey, you personally feel that whatever's happened is okay, but Turkey doesn't feel so. And a lot of other countries do not feel so. So you can't let that bias take over your obligation at the moment, which is representing your delegation fairly and properly without any personal biases. That is the only thing that will fetch you marks. You understand the whole idea of conducting MUNs is to transcend the ideas. And with that, I think we need to move forward with the idea of differentiating a formal session from an informal session. So speaking in a formal session, it's a very professional system. You have to be of a very professional mindset at that moment. Please practice before you're there. I understand that this is happening virtually. You will not be having the physical experience or the excitement of the MUN that does happen, but that doesn't mean that you will not be really formal or professional. A formal session is you as a country representing, you as a delegate representing your country. So you can't let that dip in any manner. You can't be unaware about anything that you're saying, or you can't be having a foot in your mouth. No, that won't work. And the marking scheme and everything does depend on that. They do acknowledge good speakers, so please prepare in advance. Prepare the procedures and the rules of procedures. It is a very vital part of the preparation. You should be really aware of the rules. Nobody wants to study the rules, but they're really important too. So yeah. And in an informal session, I am not really sure to what extent it's going to happen on the virtual internship. But ideally, what happens in an informal session is that you try to build consensus. So, as I gave the example of China and Russia being having a different foreign policy as compared to the Western frontier, which is France, UK, and the US. Here, the informal sessions play a very important role. So how do you think that all of these things are passed in the UNGA, or how are the resolutions made between all these countries? They are made on the basis of such consensus that happen outside the formal setting, in the informal arena. And that is what you need to focus as well while you're a part of a proper MUN. And I hope you get to employ the same here as well. Yeah, so I'll just tell you the difference between these two through this map chart. So in a formal debate, the rules of procedure are enforced by the chair. So the rules that the chair has laid down will be final, and you need to abide to that. You can't say that, hey, it doesn't work for me. No, it will have to work for you. And delegates are expected to be proper and attentive. You can't be like, oh, one person's sleeping, or one person's like just doing the household chores. No, even if your video is there, you have to be attentive and available. And during formal debates, delegates will be added to the speakers list and make speeches. So your speeches will be a part of the formal debate and raise points of motion. When we're talking about informal debates, the rules of procedure are not enforced by the chair. And delegates are expected to engage actively with each other, obviously remembering the bounds and what the purpose of this is. It's not just chit chat, it's something that you need to get done. But yes, there are no formal restrictions as such on you. And in both the settings, you're supposed to be highly respectful and diplomatic in your nature. The whole idea of an MUN is increasing debate, increasing diplomacy. So yes, with that, we end with this procedural understanding, and I feel that I was able to help you a bit in understanding how you need to work and how you need to better your situation in an MUN. And all the best, stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you so much.